If you woke up today and the only things you still had were the things you thanked God for yesterday, what would be left? Sit with that for a moment. Most of us open our eyes and instantly check the deficit column in our minds. We think about what we don't have, who we're not, how we fall short. We obsess over centimeters of height, over angles and selfies, over paychecks and follower counts until the day feels heavy before it even begins. But there is a different way to live, a way that turns the same raw materials of your life into something steadier, richer, kinder. It starts when you focus on what God has already placed in your hands and heart. It starts when you treat blessings as building blocks instead of treating lacks as prison bars. There's a truth and a lie that both show up every morning. The truth is quiet, you are breathing, your heart's rhythm is steady, your mind can imagine and solve and dream, your hands can comfort and create. Somewhere right now, someone is asking for the very things you have without noticing. The lie is loud, you are behind, you are less, you must earn worth by matching a shifting standard that no one really understands. The lie keeps you buying, scrolling, comparing, and it never grants peace. The truth asks for attention. When you give that attention to your blessings, your life begins to open. Think about the stories we tell ourselves. Maybe you've whispered that you would finally feel worthy if you were taller, if your face fit a trend, if you had someone else's charm or their luck. But worth isn't a trophy handed to those who win the comparison game. Worth is woven into you by the one who made you. You didn't assemble your breath. You didn't design your sunrise. You didn't decide for your heart to start beating in the dark before anyone knew your name. You arrived with worth. The rest of life is stewardship, not audition. Here's an image to carry. Attention is a magnifying glass. Whatever you hold it over begins to burn brighter. If you hold it over your flaws all day, your world fills with smoke and worry. If you hold it over your blessings, you feel warmth. Then you see light. Then you notice possibilities you were blind to 5 minutes ago. This isn't denial, it's direction. You can honor pain without letting pain pick your path. You can see what's missing without worshiping it. You can say, I am more than my measurements. I knew two friends who started the same job on the same day. One had the sort of presence that pulls a room into orbit, tall and easy and immediately noticed. The other blended into the background, quiet and short and slow to speak. The first friend soaked up praise and believed the praise meant the work was finished. The second friend went home each night and kept learning, practicing, serving, asking better questions. When a crisis came and everyone needed steady hands, the hidden one became the anchor. What you water grows. If you water envy, it grows. If you water gratitude, it grows. If you water a craft, a relationship, a skill, a habit, they grow. You cannot change your height, but you can change your habits. You cannot rearrange bone structure, but you can reshape the structure of your days. The quiet work of stewardship always outlasts the noise of spectacle. You may still feel the old ache. You may say that other people judge quickly, that comments sting, that rooms tilt in favor of those who match an idol of the moment. That happens. But another truth sits beneath it. People remember presence more than proportions. Presence is what you radiate when you know what you carry. Presence is the calm that enters a hallway because you entered with it. Presence is the attention you give to the person in front of you, the steadiness you bring when confusion swirls, the sincerity you offer when the world is busy performing. You can build presence. You can begin now. It's not about faking confidence. It's about living in gratitude long enough that anxiety loses its grip on your voice. If your inner monologue keeps repeating the same sentence about not being enough, change the sentence. Speak out loud even if you're alone. Say that you are entrusted with gifts and you will use them. Say that what you have is the ground you will build upon. Say that time is a gift and you will stop spending it staring at another person's lane. Then open your day with small acts that prove your words. Write for a few minutes about 3 blessings that don't show up on camera. Move your body in a way that reminds you it is a friend. Learn something tiny and new. Serve one person without announcing it. This is not a formula, it is a way to live awake. Maybe you carry scars from the past, words thrown at you when you were young, jokes that shrank you, comparisons that taught you to measure your worth against a ruler you never chose. Let those memories testify to your resilience instead of standing as judges at the door of your future. Scars are proof you healed. They don't get to narrate the rest of the story. Hand them to God like seed and watch what grows in soil that once felt lifeless. You don't need to wait for permission to begin. You do not need to become a different person before you can bless others. You already bless people when you listen, when you tell the truth, when you show up on time, when you finish what you start, when you forgive without keeping score, when you try again after failing. Comparison will always attempt to make you feel late to your own life. Gratitude walks you back inside right on time. Imagine your day unfolding differently. You wake up and ask a better question than what's missing. You ask what you have been entrusted with. You ask who might need what you can give. You ask how to turn small strengths into consistent service. Suddenly the hours aren't just a race, they're a canvas. Suddenly your reflection isn't an enemy, it's the face of a person you're committed to taking care of. Suddenly those old fixations lose color and the ordinary miracles grow bright again. Breath, sight, thought, laughter, a friend's message, a promise kept, a door opened by patience, a lesson learned the hard way that turns out to be the very thing you needed. There will be days when the old gravity tries to pull you down. On those days, speak kindly to yourself. Tell the truth about how you feel, then tell a bigger truth about who you are. Pray with your hand over your heart and thank God for this moment, this body, this chance. Ask for help seeing your gifts as heaven sees them. Ask for clarity to invest in them. Ask for courage to put them to work. Your posture changes when your prayer changes, and the world starts feeling different because you are different within it. The point of all this is not to create a highlight reel that rivals someone else's. The point is to live fully inside the life you've been given, to steward it so well that others feel brave in your presence, to build the kind of quiet legacy that outlasts trends. One day no one will remember how tall you were. They will remember how you treated them. They will remember the room you made in your schedule and in your heart. They will remember the way your words made space for theirs. They will remember that being around you felt like coming home. That is worth more than any passing crown comparison ever offers. So take a deep breath and begin the day differently. Look around, look within. Notice the gifts, name them, and put them to use. Build a life on blessings. Let that be your rebellion against a world that wants you distracted and dissatisfied. You are not behind. You are entrusted. Start now. There's a trap that steals joy so quietly you might think it's telling you the truth. It starts as a glance at someone else's life and ends as a sentence about your own. It whispers that their success is your failure, that their beauty makes you invisible, that their growth means you are stuck. The trap is comparison without context. It leaves out their nights of doubt, their years of practice, their own fragile stories. It leaves out your unique assignment entirely. When your identity is borrowed from other people's reflections, every mirror turns into a verdict. But when your identity is rooted in being known and loved by God before you performed, before you became, before you learned to measure, you can look at someone else's light and feel a surprising thing rise in you. Celebration without shrinking. The difference between inspiration and imprisonment is whether you're looking through the window to see what's possible or pressing your face against the glass until you forget there is a door with your name on it. To escape the trap, you don't need a louder argument. You need a quieter practice. Begin by recording what is already present. Write freely about what God has given, not just the obvious things, but the qualities woven into how you move through the world. Maybe you notice details others miss. Maybe you carry humor like a lantern that makes hard moments gentler. Maybe you are patient with people who don't yet know how to be patient with themselves. Maybe you can focus deeply when it matters. Maybe you are quick to say sorry and quicker to forgive. These are not small gifts. They shape homes, teams, classrooms, communities. Naming them is not arrogance, it's stewardship. When you name a gift, you can place it where it helps. Grow this into a rhythm rather than a rare event. At the beginning of the day, speak gratitude, not a polished speech, just a few sentences that turn your eyes toward light. At the end of the day, remember one moment you're glad you lived, even if it was only a shared laugh or an idea that arrived while you were washing dishes. When your week begins to feel like a blur, gratitude anchors you in the chapter you're actually living instead of the one you imagine everyone else is living without you. Attention is not infinite. The world wants to rent it by the minute, then sublease it to every insecurity you've ever had. Curate what you consume. Choose teachers over teasers, creators over critics, builders over boastful idol makers. Notice how your mind feels after spending time in different rooms, whether digital or physical. If a space consistently shrinks your sense of possibility, step back. This is not about hiding from challenge. It's about choosing soil where you can grow instead of gravel where your roots break. There are nagging insecurities that don't change overnight. Height is one, certain features are another. It would be easy to tell you to stop caring, but that advice lands like a scold and leaves no pathway forward. Try a different approach. Shift the question from how you look to how you show up. Think about the work that doesn't care about height, listening with your full attention, speaking with clarity and warmth, keeping your word without fanfare, crafting solutions, writing stories, building systems, teaching children, designing experiences that make others feel safe. Presence rises from these choices. People remember the steadiness you bring, the energy you offer, the trust you earn. Often the most compelling person in a room is not the one who looks most like the current ideal. It's the one whose spirit tells you that you matter. When that small voice in you starts counting flaws, answer it with action. Do something today that moves a gift into the world. Record a messy first video if you want to tell stories. Offer help where help is needed. Finish a draft. Send the application. Call the person who crossed your mind. Momentum is not a feeling that lands from the sky. It's made by small decisions that favor stewardship over self-consciousness. You don't beat insecurity by arguing with it. You beat it by making it irrelevant to the task at hand. There's also a simple prayer that reshapes your posture. Stand in front of a mirror, place a hand over your heart, and thank God for your breath, your body, your day. Ask for eyes to see gifts clearly and courage to use them well. Ask for the grace to release what you can't control and to focus on what you can build. Say it simply, mean it deeply. The person in the mirror will not transform in an instant, but your relationship with that person will. You will begin to treat yourself like someone you are responsible for caring for, not a problem you are tasked to solve. Perhaps someone in your life has been careless with words, passing jokes about your appearance, poking at tender places as if that's normal conversation. It's not. You can reply with lightness once, you can redirect twice, and if it continues, you can reduce access. Protect the atmosphere you breathe. You don't have to start a war to set a boundary. You can simply decide that cruel voices don't get front row seats in your story. The ones who love you will learn. The ones who don't were never an audience you needed. Service is a shortcut to meaning when comparison starts roaring. It's hard to obsess over your reflection while you're carrying groceries for someone who needed help, or tutoring a neighbor's kid, or sending a heartfelt note to a friend who thinks no one notices their effort. Service brings you back to the reason you wanted to be strong in the first place, to be useful, to lift, to make something better than you found it. Strangely, when you serve, the very confidence you were trying to chase shows up on its own. You stand taller without gaining a single centimeter. Some days will feel like you're walking upstream. You'll scroll and see someone sprinting while you're still lacing your shoes. On those days, pause and speak softly to your own soul. Say that you're not late. Say that your path has chapters no one else is meant to walk for you. Say that the timing of your growth is not an error but an unfolding. Then ask for the next right thing and do it. 10 minutes of focus is enough to change the color of a day. 10 minutes multiplied across weeks is enough to transform a life. You might wonder if gratitude makes you passive, if being content with what you have means you'll stop reaching. The opposite is true when gratitude is rightly held. Gratitude says you have enough to begin, not that you have nothing left to learn. It calms panic so you can build with clarity. It frees you from performing for approval so you can pursue mastery for the joy of it and the service it makes possible. Gratitude and ambition are not enemies. Gratitude holds the compass, ambition walks the path. There is power in declaring direction aloud. Say that you will magnify blessings. Say that you will invest them. Say that you will measure your days by the love you give and the work you honor rather than by the noise around you. Then build small rituals that keep those words from fading. Leave a notebook open on your table. Keep a book near your bed. Put your phone outside your room for the first minutes of morning. Take a walk without headphones and speak to God as if you're walking with a friend. Make your space a place where your best self doesn't have to fight for air. The world is loud, but your soul knows what it needs. It needs quiet enough to notice gifts. It needs purpose great enough to pull you forward when moods wobble. It needs people who remind you of both. Choose those people. Become that person for others. This is how we build a life that feels like solid ground. If these words are landing somewhere important, let that be a sign to keep going. Don't wait for a perfect moment to begin living this way. This is the moment. Take what you have, thank God for it, and put it to work with patience and joy. The comparison trap might still try to speak, but your life will be too full of purpose to listen for long. Motivation without a bridge to action can feel like lightning that never strikes the ground. You feel charged for a few minutes and then it fades. So let's build the bridge. The work here is to pursue growth without using self-hate as fuel. That old bargain where you promise to love yourself only after you become someone else never worked. It just postponed love indefinitely. Instead, Begin with a different sentence. Because I am entrusted with gifts, I will train them, not to prove I deserve breath, but because breath deserves gratitude, not to finally become enough, but because enoughness frees me to become useful. Start with values and let them shape rhythms. If you value honesty, practice speaking plainly even when fancy words would hide your fear. If you value service, look for needs and meet them quietly. If you value craftsmanship, pick a skill and give it time every week like you would water a plant. Consistency matters more than intensity. People burn themselves up in 2-week sprints and then disappear for months. Small, faithful sessions add up in ways that don't impress the eye at first, but transform the foundation underneath it. Tie your growth to more than your mirror. If you want to learn to speak, imagine the students who will gain courage because your words lit the path. If you want to get financially healthy, picture the relief in your home when stress loosens its grip. Picture the generosity that becomes possible when you have margin. If you want to get stronger, imagine picking up a child without wincing. Imagine aging with energy. When your reason is bigger than ego, your effort stays steady when motivation dips. Purpose makes discipline feel like devotion. Measure what is practical to measure, not to reduce your life to a scoreboard, but to keep the work honest. Track pages read, minutes practiced, applications sent, miles walked, conversations started, projects finished. When you see a streak, you feel the momentum you've been building quietly. When you miss a day, you return without drama. This is life, not an exam. Progress is a friend that keeps showing up when you treat it kindly. Invite at least one person to see your effort up close. Not a critic who gets high on pointing out flaws, but a builder who remembers your why when you forget. Share what you're aiming for and ask them to check in occasionally. Isolation twists the story in your head. Community straightens it out. You'll be surprised how many people feel encouraged by your honesty and start building alongside you. Let's talk about the skills that hold a life together. Being fully present sounds simple, but it's rare. When someone speaks, slow down. Let their words land. Ask one more question than you normally would. People leave those moments feeling seen, and they associate that feeling with you. Following through is another skill that never goes out of style. Do what you said even if no one would have noticed if you didn't. Your reputation starts speaking on your behalf, introducing you as trustworthy before you enter the room. Clarity is a gift. Say what you mean with kindness. Write messages that will still make sense to the future version of you. Resourcefulness lets you say that you don't yet know and then prove that you can learn. Gratitude in public and correction in private keeps relationships safe. Steady energy calms chaos and invites collaboration. None of these require a different face. All of them can begin today. You will encounter friction. Old narratives return with new costumes. You'll think you're past comparison, and then a post knocks you sideways. You'll think your confidence is settled, and then a careless comment rattles it. In those moments, breathe, name what's happening, and choose a small action that directs your attention back to your assignment. Tidy the space where you work. Open the document, stretch, read a page, send a kind message. 10 quiet minutes change the weather inside you more reliably than an hour of spiraling thoughts. The voices of others will sometimes echo too loudly. A relative might still make jokes about things you can't change. A colleague might dress their insecurity up as sarcasm and aim it at you. You don't have to accept every label handed to you. You can answer with humor once, redirect twice, and then share less of yourself with people who treat connection like a sport. Your peace is not a luxury item. It is the air your mission breathes. If you've been waiting to look a certain way before you start, release that bargain. Someday is a thief that steals the only day you can actually use. Begin with what you have. Record the first rough draft. Offer to help with the skills you already carry. Learn the next small thing. Walk around the block. Save the first $5. Pray the simplest prayer. It will feel too small to matter. That's how beginnings hide themselves. Keep going. Let your environment support your choices. If your phone pulls your attention into a maze every morning, move it out of reach while you sleep. Place a book where your thumb would usually tap an app. Keep a water bottle on your desk as a reminder that your body is your partner. Put a sentence where you will see it often. A sentence that calls you back when the day tries to scatter you. It might say that you will magnify blessings, that you will build quietly, that you will leave places better than you found them. These little cues are the shepherds of your attention. There's a beautiful paradox in all of this. When you focus on what you can give, your fear of not being enough softens. When you give thanks for what you have, your hunger to grow becomes clean instead of frantic. Gratitude and ambition walk together without pulling you apart. One says you already stand on holy ground. The other says there is meaningful work to be done here. Together they make you both peaceful and purposeful. Picture two futures again, one where you keep waiting for the perfect version of yourself to arrive, and one where you honor this version enough to start. The second future is brighter not because you woke up taller or prettier or richer, but because your days were filled with practical love and consistent craft. Your relationships are stronger because you showed up with presence. Your skills are deeper because you practiced. Your spirit is steadier because prayer and service gave it weight. This is not the stuff of headlines. It is the fabric of a life worth living. Share this way of living with someone who needs it. A friend who believes the mirror more than the maker. A sibling who thinks their moment passed. A co-worker who confuses noise with impact. Remind them gently that what they have is enough to begin, and that beginning is how everything beautiful eventually exists. You are not a sum of lacks. You are a steward of blessings. Train them, use them, offer them. That's how you fall in love with a life that's already here. We've talked about attention, presence, gratitude, and the shift from comparison to stewardship. Let's root it into a year, not just a morning. Think about your life in seasons. In the first, you lay foundations. You remind yourself who you are when no one is watching. You choose one core skill and give it regular time. You reach toward the people who make you better and quietly loosen your grip on the voices that always leave you smaller. This isn't dramatic. It looks like mornings with a notebook and evenings with a chapter and afternoons where you show up on time. It looks like a calendar with simple appointments you keep with yourself. It looks like practicing introductions until your voice stops trembling and practicing silence until your listening grows deep. The next season is contribution. You take what you're learning and you put it to work beyond your own growth. Maybe you mentor a younger student in your field, or you volunteer once a week, or you create small resources others can use. You start sharing your process not to perform, but to invite others into the story. You don't need 1 million followers for this to matter. One person who feels less alone because you showed your imperfect progress is a victory you can't measure on a screen. You anchor your health with sustainable habits so you have energy to keep giving. Then comes expansion. Collaboration enters. You join strengths with someone whose gifts complement your own. You try a project that scares you a little because fear is often a signpost that you're near the edge of growth. You get honest about money because money is a tool and tools should be handled with care. You budget, you save, you give. You learn to separate identity from income so that you can become generous when you have more and wise when you have less. You keep building the skills that earn trust. Finally, you reflect and renew. You look back at what grew when you watered it and what withered when you ignored it. You name where envy stole time and you forgive yourself for it, then design your days so it has fewer doors to walk through. You gather people you love and speak about the year in the language of gratitude rather than complaint. You rewrite your vision in one page so it fits in your pocket and your mind at the same time. You ask God for fresh eyes and a faithful heart. Then you start again with what you've learned. All along the way, words matter. The world will sometimes ask why you seem confident when you don't match its current idol. Smile and tell the truth. Say that you focus on what God gave you and on how you can use it. When you step into a room that intimidates you, remind yourself that presence is better than perfection and service is better than impression. When an inner voice questions your right to be there, answer that you're not here to be everything. You're here to be faithful with your part. Imposter feelings will visit even as you grow. The antidote isn't to become flawless. The antidote is to remember your assignment. You have a task to do and people to love and gifts to steward. That is enough to justify your place at any table where those things can happen. If a table demands a costume that betrays your values, you can walk away and build another table, even if it starts small and wobbly in your own living room or corner of the internet. Shape the rooms you inhabit. If your workspace is cluttered with decisions that drain you, simplify. Keep objects that remind you of blessing and purpose within sight. Let your mornings be free from the immediate grab of notifications so you can hear your own life speak. Place sentences in your day like signposts that bring you back when you wander. Let your body feel the care you give it and watch your mind thank you for the clarity that follows. There will be people who do not understand any of this. They will ask why you waste time being grateful when there is so much to chase. They will measure life by spectacle, and they will measure themselves by applause, and they will keep asking where the next rush comes from. You will be tempted to join them. Remember that almost nothing worth having can survive the constant demand to be louder. Stewardship asks for patience and delivers peace. Spectacle asks for attention and delivers emptiness. Choose peace. Choose the kind of impact that doesn't need a microphone to be real. Write a simple creed and keep it near. It doesn't need lofty phrases. Let it say that you are not your lacks. Let it say that you will treat your gifts like seeds and your days like soil. Let it say that comparison is noise and purpose is signal. Let it say that you will honor your body, invest your mind, open your hands, and keep your heart soft. Repeat it until the words grow roots. Then live it in quiet ways that only the people closest to you ever see. That is where legacy starts. If you worry that you've wasted years believing the wrong story, you can bring that worry into the light and set it down. Time becomes different when you begin to steward it. Loss becomes teacher. Delay becomes insight. Failure becomes compost. You do not need to erase your path to redeem it. You can start in this hour and let the harvest surprise you later. Imagine reaching the end of a long season and listening to what people say when they speak about you. No one mentions centimeters or angles first. They talk about how they felt in your presence. They talk about the steadiness you brought to storms. They talk about the way you noticed the quiet person in the corner and made space for them to speak. They talk about the day you showed up when others looked away. They talk about why they started believing in themselves again after a conversation with you. That is the fruit of a blessing-based life. If these words become a video that someone plays in the dark because they are tired of losing to their own reflection, let this moment be a bridge for them the way it is for you now. Invite them into the same practices. Share the same hope. Tell them they are not behind, that the treasure they are chasing is already in their hands, that the path forward is made of gratitude, stewardship, and small brave steps repeated with love. As this story closes and your next one opens, say one last sentence to stitch it all together. Say that you are entrusted and you will steward. Then take one step while the sentence is still warm. Send the message. Open the book. Do the rep. Say the prayer. Make the bed. Press record. The life you long for isn't waiting in a different body or a different bank account or a different mirror. It is waiting in the blessings you already hold, multiplied by the way you choose to use them today.